Hi guys, it's me again Julius. Like I said on community tab on my channel, in 2020 I will switch to English. This is it. This is my first video on 2020. Okay, let's start. This is part 4, the final episode. We are going to Maiden our Bombardier CL-415. This is the plane. It's already complete and ready to fly. But before that, we need to finish what we left off on previous episode. This is part 4. We're going to make the leading edge of this wing. The thickness is about 3 cm. I use 10 mm Polyfoam or Depron foam for this. The width of the foam sheet is less than 100 cm. So for 180 cm wing, we need about 3 cuts of it. We also need 5 mm foam to add the thickness to the leading edge. Make sure the front wall of the wing is straight by sanding it. Dry fit the foam, leave a mark line. Apply hot glue and then attach the foam. Continue attaching the rest. Attach 5 mm foam on top the 10 mm one. Apply glue only on the center. Trim the tips of the wing. Carve the leading edge into an airfoil shape. This is the leading edge after have been carved. I use this sand cloth for sanding. Smooth the leading edge with sanding. Also sand the trailing edge into a curved edge. I'm going to make an indentation on the middle of the leading edge, so it will fit to the fuselage. Remove the top tail part about 0.5 centimeters. and remove the foam inside the mark line. Cut the leading edge on the outer wing so it can be detached. Continue the line on the drawing on the main wing as a 3 cm length rectangle. And then cut that rectangle out. Don't throw it yet, we'll need it later. Remove the foam inside the drawing on the main wing. By using the foam piece that we've cut earlier, use that as a support for the next part. The next part is this, a piece of plywood. Glue it inside the cavity. I use a screw that comes within a servo packaging. Cut the aileron according to the plans. In the video, the aileron is only in the middle. It should have been cut full to the side, so there's no gap between the aileron and the flap. I already make a revision on the plans. Remove 1 cm wide of the front portion of the aileron. Use the cut piece to close the gap on the outer wing. Attach 10 mm foam on the front of the aileron. You also can use 2 ply of 5 mm foam for this. And sand that 10 mm foam until it curves. Cut the servo hole according to the plans. Then stack 3 ply of foams as a prop for the servo. Make sure the servo arm is on the neutral position before gluing it in place. Cover the outer wing with white packing tape. I use Mica Plastic that wrap around with masking tape for aileron hinge. And then attach the hinges on aileron leading edge. The last is install the aileron to the outer wing. Bend all parts for making the wingtip floats. We need to sand both sides that will be glued together. Glue a bit on the front section and let the glue cool down, and then we can continue to glue the rest. Sand the top part and the hull part of the float so they can meet together perfectly. Add 10mm foam on the front tip. Also add another 10mm foam on the rear end. Sand all surfaces until it's smooth like this one. Sand it with water. Now I'm making pylons for the wingtip floats. Cover it with Oracle stickers and paint the hull wrap. Measure and cut the flaps according to the plans. Also cut the plywood rib on the tip. Remove 3 cm from the front on the top part. Stack 3 plies of 10 mm foam on the front of the flap. I used 3 mm wood and a piece of hard paper card for making a flap hinge. Use a soft metal wire as a hinge. We need 8 hinges for both flaps. We have to cover the wing first before attaching the flaps. I use white packing tapes for cover. Refine and remove any wrinkles with covering iron. You can use a normal iron to do this. Continue covering the top side of the wing. Cover the flap. Paint all the flap hinges with white color. Attach all hinges on their places on the wing. You can see here, I have one hinge that its leg have been cut short. It will be placed on the tip. Make holes on the leading edge of the flap for receiving the hinges, and then attach the flap on the wing. Add 2.5 cm Mica Plastic strip to conceal the gap on the flap. Assembly all parts for making an engine cowl. Add the foam behind the plywood firewall. We need to curve some parts for the top side. Install the motor on the firewall using 4 screws. I use NTA motors 1100 kV. Add extension cables from motor to ESC. The cable length has to reach inside the fuselage. Continue building the engine cowl. Sand all edges on the engine cowl. I'm making a dummy air intake for the engine cowl. Close the rear part with a sheet of foam. Cover the engine cowl with packing tape. Install the engine cowl on the wing by inserting all the cable first inside the wing. Make a rectangle hole for flap servo. Make 2 smaller holes in the middle of the wing to make way for cables from the motors and servos. Insert 3 servo wires to a hole on the tip and come out from the middle. Solder female servo plugs on each wires on both tips. Pull out all motor's wires from the middle of the wing. Insert stack of foams inside the servo cavity as a prop for the servo. Glue the flap servo. Place the second flap servo facing the same direction as the first one. Add lids from Mica Plastic to cover the servos. I use servo arm to be used as a control horn on the flap. Insert push rods on the control horn and the servo arm, and then add a stopper. Combine two aileron servo wires into a single channel. Also combine two servo flaps with Y cable. Now I'm making a pair of plywood bases for receiving 4 screws to mount the wing. Add 10 mm foam to the plywood parts. Make sure the foam on the fuselage wall is already free of packing tape. Insert 4 gypsum screws through the wing until it reaches the plywood base below. After removing the screws, add Mica Plastic to protect the foam from wear by repeated use of screws. I use vinyl stickers for decals. Use 3mm EVA Foam for these parts. I use toothpicks, piece of paper, a rubber band to make a locking system. I had to cut the cockpit rear wall and the deck all the way forward to make space for the battery. I used 3S 5200 mAh Lipo battery. Okay, this is it. The first flight ever.
Sana Chip. Oh iya. Mulus om.
Memang bener nih. Horizontal stabilatornya terlalu
Kerasa.
stabil gitu.
Wih keren, habis. Ntar lu om. Lu mau Lopez ya? Cakep ya kalau ya halo. Ya gimana? Jadi gua ke sono gua zoomin malah belum fokus, makanya belum dapet.
It is very stable. So stable it is hard to turn with the aileron alone. It must be helped with rudder input. In this flight I use differential thrust with rudder input.
Dari mana?
Lu ke sana. Lu muternya ke sini.
Wih, yang belok banget, selalu belok.
Iya,
Ngebeng banget.
orientasi gua.
Oh kacau. Awas bambu. Itu pakai differential terus beloknya.
Iya, belok lagi.
Berat sih om, 2 kilo lebih om. Ada itunya juga kan,
Gua nggak boleh pelan-pelan banget.
lampu lah.
Mau belok pakai lorong deh.
Nambahin lagi berarti nanti.
Masih dia ke bawah ya.
Landing aja.
Udah lumayan banyak.
Ayan. Dari mana? Abort apa? Lumayan lah.
It was actually the best landing I ever had with the landing gear still intact. The other landings were not so good.
Udah nggak apa-apa.
Like this one wheel came off from the front landing gear on takeoff.
Maju Om. Maju nggak gua?
Emang dia nggak bisa belok pakai rudder, pakai
Aileron
banget.
dapat itu. Pas berani ya? Pelan-pelan aja. Angin ya?
Gue nggak biasa banyak pakai rudder.
Biasa aja. Pelan-pelan aja. Bangunnya kalau gini putar aja. Bye-bye ya, pohon bambu tuh depan tuh nanti. Yoi, keren. Dari mana Om? Oh, oke. Ini udah mau landing nih. Woi, mulus. Bannya nggak masalah. Nah gitu kelihatan juga kok.
Okay, that's the Maiden Flight. It was flying perfectly. I use only 50% of throttle most of the time. So the power is enough with twin NTM motors and 3S Lipo battery, 5200 milliamps hour. It's very stable plane. I said it's hard to turn using Aileron alone. I had to combine it with rudder to turn the plane, but the landing was not so good. But that's the best I've done. I tried to fly it on Saturday, actually, just to have a shot of a good landing, but that's no luck. It was then the first flight. because the weather is too windy, so maybe next time. Okay, the front landing gear is not too strong. It needs to bolt down or bolt up or add glue to make it more rigid, or you have to choose between two modes, water or land mode. You can remove this landing gear and put the lid and put the dummy wheel for water landing. Actually, this plane already crashed 2 times. It's amazing how this plane survived this crash with no damage, only front landing gear bent to the rear. It's amazing how tough this plane is. Although this plane weight is about 2,200 grams or 4.8 pounds, it can survive. It crashed because I misjudged the distance of this plane when landing, and the second one, it's because the tailwind and stall. Still want to know if it's capable of taking off from water and landing. I will try somewhere this week, maybe next week. I will try on a lake. Bismillah. But the next build will be PT-17 Stearman. It's a biplane. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider to subscribe this channel. See you on the next episode.